steep yourself enough in the practice, like really embody it to the point where you can just trust confidently in your own voice. We come here on these retreats to create space for the deeper listening that otherwise gets forgotten, like in the day-to-day.
The Yoga Connection with Zorananda is a deep dive into the world of yoga, exploring the rich history of tradition, methodology, and practices both ancient and modern. Follow along as yoga is explored through solo episodes to guest interviews to understand its vast reach around the world. So Kelly, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
So good. For the listeners, we are in Johnson's Landing for a retreat that Kelly and Andrew are leading, and it's such a pleasure to be here. I've waited all summer to get to this point.
Oh, we're so glad you're here.
Yeah. So welcome everybody to the Yoga Connection. My name is Zorananda. I have Kelly Day with me here. She is one of the organizers of the Enliven Retreat that we're on right now. And I'm here to sit down with her and talk about life and yoga and what it means in her world to do what she does and how she's gotten here. So, yeah, maybe if you want to just start with, who you are and what you do in your life yoga-wise, and
Yeah. Well, I'm Kelly, and yoga. Well, I guess I could start with maybe like where it began for me, and then like kind of where I am now with teaching. Because it's been like a 20-year journey. But I grew up in Ontario, and my first teacher came to me when I was, so it's been a little under 20 years because I was like 18 years old. And came to me at a time in my life where I was really like lost and sort of like seeking some grounding and some clarity, and really ultimately looking for like a teacher, guidance, a mentor. It was a very confusing time in my life, and a bit of a dark time. And then I just sort of followed the thread and then the thread led me eventually out to Kelowna, which is where I live now. I took my first training in 2013, and that was with Megan Curry, who was originally based in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, I've met.
Yeah,
I know Megan Curry. Yeah, she's done a lot of good stuff in Edmonton.
Yeah,
that was like back in the day when that would have been like 2015, 14.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of?
Yeah. 2014 actually. Now, like my memory serves me, and it was in Nicaragua. I remember I moved to Kelowna. I was like getting kind of like blown apart by the yoga community because it was just like non-existent. I had one teacher who taught classes out of a pump house in my like little 20,000 population town. And so I took this workshop with her and was like, and I had been sort of like searching for the right teacher and the right, first toe dip in an experience of a training. And after practicing with her, I was like, yep, like it was just like a very clear and defined yes to me. And so, I went to Nicaragua, did my first training, and then, found myself back in Kelowna teaching. I actually did another 300-hour with Megan a couple years later in 2016. And then I've since studied with, many various other teachers and dabbled in some other lineages. And, but then through that dabbling of these other lineages and other teachers, I've really kind of found that there's a really through line between all of them. And so I'm grateful for the path that led me here, and just this sort of like diverse toe dip into all of these different lineages, because it's really allowed me to land in a place now where I feel like clear on like what the practice is for me and how I want to share. And so I'm currently teaching in Kelowna at a couple different studios, and then offering these retreats with Andy, and getting a little bit more into the one-on-one sort of somatic experiencing. So sort of like stepping a little bit away from traditional yoga in the sense, and really like landing in more of these embodiment practices, and that's what feels true today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like, because it's really similar in my experience as well, is where there's these different schools that pop up and these different people that are really inspiring. You know, like you see them on their path, and you see what they're doing and how they're showing up for community and people. And just see all the different iterations of the yoga practices, and see where we are in our society, in our era of our life, right? That we have the availability to then hop from these different things and to see where we land, right? And to see like, okay, I've practiced with, my teacher who has a Kanda yoga and a Gama yoga, and Ryan Lear and one yoga, and Anusara yoga, and like, and then where you find that there's this beacon of light in all of them.
Totally.
That then shines like, oh yeah, this is where more of my self-mastery is coming through. And then even then I find those particular teachings, not that they fall away, but then who you are as a teacher starts to come through, right? Because then it's like the people that you start interacting with now, they want you. They want the knowledge that you have. And then it's not really about like, oh, what do I remember from that training from, 8 years ago? It's more so now when I show up for myself in my practice, and my body is informing me in what I'm doing and how I'm progressing, that ends up being the teaching for the students, right? And it's neat to see that, and I think there's gonna be parallels with so many people, right? Like,
Totally.
especially in the community where I think the availability to have all these different teachers show up then just allows us to really see who we are in that, right? And I think that's what's shining forward in this retreat, right? Like you and Andrew are really showing who you are as not only practitioners and who you were as students, but then as like leaders, to a small group of friends and new people, right?
Totally. Yeah, and I think like it's part of the journey is finding your teachers. And I should preface, Megan is traditionally or like classically trained in Anusara yoga. That's like my first kind of like iteration. And
did you ever train with Jana?
No. I really like, I've heard really wonderful things. And then I kind of went from Anusara, and Anusara, just the, I would say like the alignment principles and like those like integrative action lines resonated with me like on a very visceral level right away. And that's kind of where I found like, oh, this exists in Ashtanga, like this exists in, all really like everywhere you look. It's just, it's spoken in a different language. And so and this is sort of like to speak to like the journey of teaching, is like you're trying on all of these different ways, and actually kind of like shape shifting your teachers in a sense until you find your own authentic voice within it. And that's like years in the making, and something that I think I'm still like very much in. And and Andy has been like a really dear mentor for me, in that he was sort of like the first teacher that I landed upon that was like, the teacher is you. Like, it's like, don't actually, like, you're not here to take on the voice of someone else or, bow to a guru. It's just like, you have to almost like steep yourself enough in the practice, like really embody it to the point where you can just trust confidently in your own voice and your own offering. So I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, I think it's still, it's happening as it's happening.
Yeah, that's a big responsibility, and it's a really good realization. And what I come back to is like self-mastery, right? Like you'll have this person that is embodying a level of self-mastery, and then, if you look back at kind of the last maybe like 50 years of prominent teachers that come to a really like famous figurehead position, that their self-mastery is safeguarded so that the students don't realize their own self-mastery. And so like the following part of it becomes so intoxicating, right? But having a guru and having a teacher and, being in their presence at all times. And so that's what really draws me into Andrew as well too, because there's a humility in that, to be like, I have my own life, like he's got a wife and kids, and like he's got a whole other business. And so it's inspiring to see a yogi who's like grounded in the world, right? That's not like, oh yeah, you need to leave everything and follow me and come to all the things that I do, right? Because that's kind of what the first iteration, I would say, of like Western yogis, right, from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And now there's this good shift that's happening. And I think it was part of, the fall of Bikram and these other men that were found to be taking advantage of women. Kundalini, to then, right? And to then pump the brakes, and people going like, that's not good. Yeah. And then shining a spotlight on men, like, what are you going to do? Right? Yeah.
Oh, totally. And I think like, that's just not the time that we're living in anymore. Like it's like, I think for a long time in that first iteration that you're speaking of, it was like, how can I devote my life to God or to this guru, this teacher, like devoting your life to the practice. And now at least for me, like, in this current chapter, it's like, how can this practice, serve my life, in reverse? And like, how can this, serve as an aid or like a guidepost, or an anchor for me to like just walk in the world as a human that I want to walk as, and like how to serve my family and my people and my community and my just job and the things that I'm plugging into. It's like a lifeline.
Yeah.
And it's really practical. Like it's not some like big, like, like, again, like it's like we're here in this like 3-dimensional reality. And so like, how can we just use these tools to like help us walk in a good way? It's really simple.
Yeah. And I like to think of it as like it's an addition, right? And I think a lot of people think of yoga as it's taking them out of their life and into something unknown and mysterious. And, there's a little bit of an anxiety around that, right? Because they think that then, if they're going to start doing yoga, then they're going to go on retreats and they're going to become a teacher, then they're going to like move to Costa Rica. It's like there's these huge like jumps, right?
Yeah. And you see this a lot. It's like in the like new age, like spiritual movement, it's like become another form of escapism.
Yeah.
It's like, and not to knock it, like, but I think we can like poke some fun at it because it's like, like we're in it. So I think it's fair to say like, you see like these like memes that are like popping up, or like these like kind of like spoofs that are like, like, yeah, like I'm just like gonna quit my job and like just, yeah, float away to Costa Rica and like live in the jungle and like what it's like nice and it's like, are you engaging in the practice or these practices or whatever else you're engaging with as another way of like escaping life? Because it's really like how, to me it's like, well, if we're really doing the practice, it's like enhancing our ability to meet life and just like really meet it in present time,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and from what I found in my own practice is that it's amplified a sensitivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sensitivity to my purpose. It's a sensitivity to an underlining karma that is just ongoing that you really don't have control of,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the world is informed by that, and then just how the planet and the universe itself is orchestrating things that um, yoga, like you were saying earlier, as like a tool, then opens you up to the sensitivity of like, I can be really grounded and rooted in
Mm-hmm.
my life, and I can watch where that takes me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the changes that are going to occur aren't going to be on this needing to escape, but that it's a part of my evolution.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't necessarily have a control over it, but I can watch how it unfolds a beauty and unfolds like goodness in my life, right? It starts to allow me to feel really good about my life, and then the people around me feel really good
Mm-hmm.
about their life, and then the community that I'm a part of, and it starts to grow in a way where then say the opportunity to go to Costa Rica or India or wherever in the
Mm-hmm.
world is more of a calling, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not uprooting you.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're really good and you're really solid in where you are, and
Mm-hmm.
you're building a good network, and then the universe goes, okay, I need you over here for a
Mm-hmm.
period of time, and
Totally.
then I need you over here, and then you come back and you feel so good, like um being out here in the middle of the wilderness, right? Hearing wolves howl and
Yeah.
you know and there's a part of me that's like, man, what am I doing in Edmonton, right? There's this
Mm.
small voice of, I would way rather live out in the mountains here.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this other part of me that seems more grounded, is you are getting an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You are getting energized so that when you go back,
Mm-hmm.
you can handle the things that you're doing in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so then all the things that I'm absorbing here and all the things that are coming into my body and my being, all the good food that we're eating, and
Mm-hmm.
like just
Mm-hmm.
like the people and the conversations and the fresh air, then I get to go back home and back to my work and back to my students and teaching yoga and all the things and music. Then I have this like new energy to pump into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then that feels so much better. That feels good in my heart than to be like, I need to remove myself from all of that, from my whole community, my family, and everybody, and I need to be out here. And then I'm like, okay, but then I'm alone, right? And like,
Yeah.
who do I know? What do I know? Like, okay, I'm gonna now integrate back into something here. But when I look back at all my travels, that was the guidance. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I went to India, when I went to Thailand, when I went to Brazil, it was like, yeah, go, absorb, come back, and
Mm-hmm.
release, right?
Totally.
And and you get to witness how that unfolds in your life, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I like to come from when I teach and when I tell people that yoga is an addition into your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's another tool in how you can really feel good about who you are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And you don't like, I'm just like hearing you. I really resonate with this. Like, it's like the hero's journey. It's like he sets
Yeah.
out and, it's like there's obstacles along the way. You have this big adventure and you come back to your village and you share all the wisdom and all of everything you've gathered with the people around you. And if your path naturally and organically unfolds where you end up in the mountains, like that can also happen. And it's
Yeah.
like, but it really is like, it's like, okay, am I actually like, it's discernment. It's like discerning, like, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. It's like we come here on these retreats to create space for the deeper listening that otherwise gets forgotten, like in the day to day. And this is why like having a practice or a meditation practice is so important, because you're like expanding your capacity for space. You're just like, it's like little increments. And
Yeah.
then like as you sort of like build this into your day and into your lifescape, you're kind of in a sense like slowing down time, or like slowing down your relationship to time. And I think like coming to an immersive experience such as this one is sort of like the gateway into that, where you're like you're having an experience with more like a deeper quality of space. You're able to like see your life from a completely different vantage point. You may have some big moments of like, what am I doing with my life? I need to, like sometimes like I've had many moments, in ceremony or in experiences like this where like I'm afraid of the space, because it's like I'm afraid of what I might see in there, like what I might be
I
confronted
definitely had
with.
moments like that.
Yeah.
This morning was like, oh my God, first of all, I'm late. And second of all, my body is so sore. And then Andy's just like right on me the whole time. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it's confronting to like see, and I think that can be where it's like those kind of like knee-jerk reactions of like, oh, if I'm just gonna like I'm gonna move away to the mountains, and like it's just like you want to stay on this like high trajectory, because you're like, we're like vibrating at a different frequency when you're eating this incredible food and you're just like immersed in nature and you're having a gong bath and you're just going home and you're like buzzing from life. And it's like, it's easy to want to just like stay in the light, but it's like, okay, can we take all of that and like integrate it into, what we're meeting? And then through that listening over time, maybe you do like, wind
Yeah.
up there. It's an act of listening.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
where I draw inspiration from something like this is like, okay, how do I show up as a facilitator for this? Because when I look at my life as a yogi and a teacher, and I've been in it for 12 years now, I know that there's a next level to offering and whatnot. So that was a part of the intention of coming here, is like learning not only just like what you guys are offering and teaching, but then also how you guys are doing it, right? To absorb the I don't want to say it, like the setup of everything. Like driving here, I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, how did they find this place? Like who do you like? Do you just Google stuff? Like, but I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's again, it's like things come to you
Yeah.
in strange kinds of ways. Like I think that well, we had originally hosted at a different center in Radium, and then just as things happen, like they don't align in quite the way. And Andy and I have made like a bit of a practice of like visiting spaces and just
Yeah,
to
that's
kind of
what
see
I.
what finds us. And
Yeah,
then
that's what I got from it too.
and
Yeah, I
then
can
this
see Andy.
it was kind of an accident, honestly. Like we
Yeah.
were like driving up this road, like where are we? And then like got here and we were like, what is this place? Like it's just like plunked in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere. Like there's
Yeah.
no service, like, and I don't know. And then it just kind of seemed to be the perfect place for, like that drive that we're on, like, and what it takes to actually get here is like part of like the experience that we're trying to cultivate. So it's a co-creation. Like it's not like we're just setting out like Googling places. It's like life is communicating back to us as we are like communicating with our intention. And
Yeah, and that's what I get from that is the part of yoga is a life journey, right? So I think in the in the kind of layers of the practice, it starts in the studio, right? It starts as like, oh, I'm going to go to yoga today,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the call to become a teacher then is like the next level of, if you're going out of country or whatever to do training. But then as the years go by and now you're like, oh, I'm going to go teach at the studio. But then to get to the point where now as yoga as a journey of life and following its call, then how it opens up these portals to these places, right? And that's kind of how I'm seeing it. Of like, if I'm going to be wanting to step into that role, it's not the Googling, it's not the the more mundane logistics of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the connections that you make with the people, right? And I think, I know I can see how Andy is really good at it, but then like the pair of you as like friends and teachers and facilitators, like how both of your energies go into manifesting, right? And that's really special. And that's what I get to see here. And so back in the summer when I was doing the Sunrise Challenge, and he was talking about the retreat, that's what I was feeling, and I got a good sense right from the beginning, the amount of love and the amount of energy that you're putting into it. Right. And like you guys were saying yesterday, it's not without its hurdles, right?
Totally.
It's not without its challenges, but then I think being able to get through those challenges is what makes then landing here and then seeing the group and who shows up that much more magical.
Totally. Yeah. 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 It just sort of like every retreat is a mystery in a sense, because it's like, it's all the work and the efforts leading up to it. And it is like, it's not without its hurdles. And I think like, we were talking yesterday about, and we were just talking about just before we started recording this, like, when you're really like in the uphill swimming upstream, like there are those moments of like, oh, okay, like where am I giving from right now? And like, do I need to take a step back? And, but ultimately like it's like the way I see it, and I make this connection to Ishvara Pranidhana. It's like I'm often like pulling this forward in my life of like this teaching of like, I'll just bring my whole self forward and then surrender the outcome and surrender give it over. Essentially, it's like full participation, full presence as it's happening, and then giving over the rest. And so each retreat in a sense is like a kriya, and it's like every outcome is totally different and unpredictable. And that's actually like the most beautiful element of these retreats, is like getting to come here and then arrive and like, see who shows up, see what the moment is informing within the group. And it oftentimes there's like a through line between everybody who shows up, or like there's no accident. We're all kind of like experiencing the same thing in different ways. And you just see what happens. And that's been big work for me in teaching and in like guiding retreats, trainings, like just in life, is this element of like, I have to get out of the way and like surrender, and like you just don't have control in the way that you think that you have control. That's really like the mind. It's really like the way of like, if I can just hold on to every little detail.
Yeah.
But you suffocate the like ability for like creative flow or like anything spontaneous to come through when you're just like hanging on to what you anticipate it to be. So yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And when I look back at last year, and I think that was really when the seed was planted, and not being able to go. And just aside from yoga in my life of work and how I'm looking at finances and how I'm wanting to be a responsible person, I told myself that if I'm really going to be able to show up for these things, I really need to be mature about how I'm just handling my life, because I don't want to show up to these retreats in general like on a whim or ill prepared, or
Totally
financially strapped,
Yeah.
like I want to be able to come and know that I worked really well throughout the year, and then it's like well deserved. So this one, just like to my core, is just so well deserved. And and I think just generally, I can like mask it pretty well, but I have like an underlying anxiety, and so to be able to show up to this place without that has been really good. And
Cool.
yeah, and yeah, it was funny. I was even thinking about like these podcasts, and I was like, yeah, I just want it to be like promo for you guys. So there's like, I was looking at the timestamp and I was like, at 19 minutes, there's something that you were saying that was just so awesome. I'm like, oh, I'm 100% sending this to them. I'm gonna like crop this out, be like, use it, like get some like awesome video footage of like the whole space and what you guys are doing. I'm like, yeah, and like that's how I am as a person. I find that all throughout my life, I've just been like a hype man. So I love supporting and I love showing up and being like, yes, I 100% want to be a part of it. And I want to show up in a way where then I can add to it in a good way. And yeah, cause I'm already thinking like, I'm really hoping this happens next year. And I'm there. Like I'm there in my mind, and it's like a year to me is like a snap of the finger, right? So it's like it doesn't matter, but yeah, I think that just it leads to like what it means to set up tradition and what it means to be able to get this something continued and thriving, right? And yeah, so I think just kind of thinking of another question so we can kind of steer away from the retreat stuff. Yeah, so in your world of all the trainings that you've done and where you're at in your practice, how do you deal with, say, like if there's like plateaus? So say if like you've done these trainings and you're in a good groove of your business and doing the retreats and teaching, that have you felt like there was a point where you needed something new or something more? And if there was like a plateau in it, because I think at least that's what been my struggle is that, and I think this can relate for others, that because of this like gem that's hidden in yoga of like enlightenment, it's like you have to do your practice every day because then it's going to lead to this moment, right? So if you can just maybe speak on not necessarily like the enlightenment part, but just if there's any like plateaus, how you would have been able to overcome it or undergo newness in it.
I guess it depends on what you define as a plateau, because I think like, is it a plateau or is it a redirection? And I think like, I mean, I would say like early on in my my in the early days, I was like pretty deep in my asana practice. Like that was like the first, like when I was studying with Megan and that first time away, I went really deep, really fast into my body. And for those who understand this process of like opening your body, it's like it's a whole thing. Like, you know, there's a lot of pathways opening, lots of new lines of communication. There's a lot happening, like, in like for you know I see the body as like a storehouse of like all of our lived experiences,
Mm.
and so it's kind of like opening Pandora's box when you actually like work with some of that, like I call it like the language of the body, and like when you're like untying like the or like unwinding those knots, and like just on the physical level, like what that's a whole like system of alchemy essentially.
Yeah.
And I was really deep in that for like the first few years, and then felt like I reached a plateau, and then that was when I went to see Megan again in the 300 hour. And it was all really coming from this place of like kind of similar in a way to what I see with people who have like really big like medicine journeys maybe, and then they are chasing that original experience rather than like being in the integrative
Mm.
process. Not to not to like parse a judgment, just through, I'm not saying this is everyone, or you know, but just an observation, and even from my own experience, this was like what I felt I was actually chasing, was like that original feeling, or like big moment of like I had a really big experience in my yoga practice and in my lifescape. Like I was just sort of like the plateau was actually like not necessarily what I thought it was. It was like redirection and actually going deeper, and like in deepening the layers. But I was just really chasing like this thing that was like trying to take a different form, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I wonder, um, yeah, the thing that I resonate is the language of the body, because I say that exact thing in my
Mm-hmm.
teaching, that when I'm teaching yoga in the studio, is that especially in my deep stretch class, that um, that when we're in a posture for extended period of time, the sensations and what's happening in the body is your body speaking to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's bringing, you are putting yourself in that position, but then the body is responding back to you with this language that
Mm-hmm.
it's very unique to itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we just want to always think as language as something that's in our head, and it's the speaking part of us, but then the body does have its own language. And what I've found in like facing these plateaus, I feel like that's where I'm at now, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've come out of having injuries and healed those things, and when I look back to like 2015 and 16, that my body was at its like peak of
Mm-hmm.
my body was at like its peak of flexibility, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so when I'm like here and I'm looking at what I can't do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I'm at that plateau, but then I'm thinking to myself, my body is speaking to me about something right now, and it's speaking to me where it's at. And rather than thinking that I have to like respond in my mind of like whatever thoughts are coming out,
Mm-hmm.
that then the response is with my breath.
Mm-hmm.
That if my body is speaking to me in sensation, then it will listen to how I breathe with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so even today, this morning, just like Andy doing the adjustments on me and seeing how much my body opens as soon as I take that deep breath and then exhale, and everything like moves and opens. And we'll just pause for a second. It's all good. Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
That's okay.
That's Kevin. He's the gong master. Yeah.
Special appearance, yeah.
Yeah, so I really like that, and so when I think of plateaus and I hear what you're saying, that being able to be receptive to a redirection,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Because sometimes I think it is a plateau. I think it's, again, like, it's that discernment piece, because sometimes a plateau can be like laziness, or like, it could lethargy, or it can also be like you're just really attached to this, like you're checking the boxes, doing your practice every day, and you're plateauing because you're not being receptive to like how life is informing you to move in a different direction. And that doesn't, like, the two are like, sometimes you actually do need to like get up and do your practice, and you need to, like, I've had seasons of my life where like I need to get up and like cold shower and like do my practice because I'm in inertia in my life, or I'm like really in stagnation. I feel really dense and I'm not moving forward. So like I need to do the physical practice. And then there's other seasons where it's like I'm really tired and like I need to rest, and the practice will show up in, it might be like a deeper meditation, or it's like, again, like how I'm meeting life, and like, and eventually, like, and this is demonstrated, Andy talks about this a lot, like in like having a family, and just like, becoming a better man, and like plugging into his business, and like trying to cultivate a life that feels like really sustaining, and where he's serving in that like greater purpose. That's still living your yoga. Like that actually like is what it's here for. So yeah, it's like plateau is just like an interesting thing for me, because I see those moments as opportunities to either like lean in if it's like time, like if it's time to like go in and like go deeper and lean in, like, I intend in 2025 to like sit with my teacher again, and like I'm just at a point where I'm like, I need to be in studentship, I need to like be like that's the call, and then there's like other seasons of like more output and more I don't know, creation, or more like just putting those deeper teachings into practice. And I think it's just like, yeah, like learning how to listen beyond the sort of like preference, or like that kind of, again, like that place of like, well, it should be this way, or it used to be like this, so why isn't it, now taking this shape? And it's like, that's a like ride you're never gonna get off. So it's like, and also like, I remember like a couple years back being in this place in like asana practice, where feeling super defeated, like I'm like, oh, I can't like really go as deep, or like it was this whole thing, and I had this whole like neuroses over it, and then it connected to like, well, like we have aging bodies, and like, and then like, what does that mean? And like, just like, and then realizing like, I think like yoga, it's like, it's transformative in nature. Yes, you can like, if you can do all the things when you're 80 years old, great. And if you can't, like, well, like, what is the big deal? It's like, I want my physical practice to serve me to be like strong and able and capable and clear and coherent as I age, you know, in my life. And yeah, ultimately, like, it's really just, it's just one layer of so many, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the point um of like longevity, right?
mm-hmm,
Um and where the immediate desire for particular results, because I was at that point too, right? When I was younger in my practice of like, um I want to be able to do these postures and these techniques and go from this and this and this, and coming to a point now where rushing myself into a certain level led to injuries, right?
mm-hmm,
Led me pulling back, and to a point where then my desire for being with my body is so much softer.
mm,
And now seeing that, I know this is a lifelong journey, and so whatever plateaus I hit, I can see that then it's opening me up to a new way of looking at the practice, like you were saying before. And what it did for me, interestingly, especially after the pandemic, was because I was feeling jaded about the
mm,
community, and I was feeling jaded about my own practice and where I was and what was happening in the world, that there was this redirect.
mm,
And so, like, the guidance of yoga was like karma yoga.
mm, mm,
Like, you don't have to focus on the strong physical practice right now. You need to heal,
mm,
and there's other ways to work with your body to heal. Like, I got into CrossFit,
mm,
and so then there was this more of a call for strengthening. And then the karma yoga part was understanding in that moment, like, what was my dharma, that is just my life purpose,
mm,
just as the human being that I am, where I'm at with my family and my work and my friends. That then how this new stream of yoga was coming in was then saying, um, show up for your brother, show
mm,
up for this new kind of work, show up for this new kind of career in, like, working at the spindle factory, and seeing how that unfolds. And as long as this stream of yoga is in there, and
mm,
as long as I'm considering that now I'm looking at it through the vein of karma yoga,
mm,
that it was like a new shoot came out,
mm,
right?
mm,
And
mm,
so this part of my yoga was like kind of dying away, and instead of um, mourning it so much and being depressed about it,
mm,
there was this whole other line of rooting and flowering that was coming out. And now I'm seeing how it's a whole new lotus has come out of
totally.
it, right? And then coming back to my practice, coming back to my body, it feels so good.
Mm,
And
mm,
and I'm seeing how there's like this newness of connection, and the synchronicities of it. How like Andy came out and came into my life, and um, yeah, it's been a really like new blossoming, beautiful journey for sure.
yeah, cool. Yeah, that's really, really well said. It's kind of like you're talking about, like, that, it's like death and rebirth.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like the willingness to let the old thing die to make way for like the new iteration. And it's so it's like really ironic in the like our like Western yoga world of like, um I don't believe really in like yoga. I don't believe in like the eradication of the ego like that. It's like you're not going to get rid of that, and it's a
yeah,
part of your personality, and it's a useful thing there's a reason we have it, and it's like a mechanism that you know, has gotten us to a certain point in life and protected us. And I think it's like, really, this comes back to this like observation of space, which is like something I lean into as a practice in my life often, is like just like witnessing and watching like the, you know, all of like the aspects of me, all the parts of me, and all like the things that the components that make up this like personality that is me, or who I think is me. And it's like, in the yoga world, it's like this pursuit of like the eradication of the ego is actually like creating more identity and like more suffering and like more of that like like fluctuation, like chatter of the mind. Is really, it's just like you're trying to get rid of something. And in the like trying to get rid of it, you're actually like identifying like more with it, which is something that I've kind of bared witness within myself over the years. And like really struggled with like, well, if I'm not like this, then like who am I? And like holding on to this like one aspect of who I am, as though that like, and that's just unrealistic, because it's like we are multifaceted, multidimensional beings. And so now like the way like yoga or like any of these practices work its way into my life is through like, how can I get more honest? Like, how can I meet these parts and like welcome them in, instead of trying to like, you're not allowed and you're not allowed, but you're welcome over here. And like, trying to negotiate my lived reality, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, can you just meet the moment without negotiation, or like without this, like, do you know what I mean when I say that? Like, you're trying to strike a deal with like life, in a sense, like where it's like, I'll do this, and like if you do this, and it's like, it doesn't work like that. Like, it's like that's the subtlety that like we're looking to like tap into, is like, okay, like what, like how to know, like, well, when is this actually just like not right? And like, am I, you know, like, is it time to just like take a different course? It's like, only you know. But I think if you're not in that receptive space, that's how those like bigger karmas start to happen, and you start to really get like worked by life, because you're just not, you're not receptive, you know?
Yeah. The way that makes sense of that, when I look at, just to say the last like 4 years of my life, was that I went through my yoga journey perceiving myself as someone really knowledgeable, and had quickly gotten to a point of understanding like deeper states of consciousness and in my own experiences, to then sneakily being an unhealthy person. And so like where the ego plays in that is that, even though I did all this work and had these like profound experiences and whatever you want to call it, right? To then I was smoking a lot of weed, and you know, I was and I led to this point where, though I was perceiving myself as ridding myself of this ego, that it was sneakily building itself up, that led to injuring myself, led to depression, led to ends of relationship and pulling out of community, and associating back with people that propelled my unhealthy tendencies. And to then get to a point of realization in myself, I can't show up for people in a setting of teaching yoga and telling them to be healthy when I'm riddled with injuries, I'm unhealthy, I'm eating garbage, and I'm depressed. And so as much as I ignored that stuff and then went into trying to teach, the universe was just like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And no one would come to my classes. I would like have fallouts with the studios, and then I would think to myself like, well, what's wrong with them? And it's like, no, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was super eye opening.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally agree. It's not about killing your ego. It's, to me, it's a refinement, right? And this experience for myself was to show me that I was misinformed in myself in what truly allows me to be a healthy person, right? And that's just a personal thing. Like, I don't tell people, oh, now because I'm not doing these things, like, you shouldn't, right? I'm like, man, like, we're all our own bodies, and things are going to react in a certain way. And so once I made a decision for me, because I have been smoking weed since I was like 12 years old, right? And I grew up as a partier. And so in this, right before doing the Sunrise Challenge, I was like, if I'm really going to dive into this and I'm really getting back into this, I just have to stop smoking weed, and I have to stop smoking tobacco, and I can't be getting drunk anymore. And that like clicked me in. The universe was like, yes, okay, now let's begin. And then I didn't even think about teaching yoga yet. I was like, I'm going to spend this year, right? Just getting back in my practice, getting back into my body. You know, with CrossFit, I feel like I've gotten to a good point of strength. So now I can really focus in on opening. And, you know, having Andrew there as like a good facilitator. And then the universe was just like, now it's time to teach. And my friend Mel was like, you need to come teach at Oxygen because they need male teachers. It's all women. They tell me all the time they need male teachers, and like, you're the perfect one. I was like, sweet. So, and it turned out that the owner of the studio is like one of my brother's childhood friends. And I'm just watching it all line up, and I'm like, now this feels good.
Yeah.
Right. I was in my plateau, and I like came out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not such a big spike. It's like just like a little, I'm like climbing up that hill.
Totally.
And so that's where I think, you know, this whole thing about removing the ego, killing the ego, is I totally agree that it's so much more about seeing this thing inside of us and using yoga to like nurture it. Right. And using yoga and like almost subtly day by day convincing it to be refined and to grow into spirit and to grow into what we're feeding it and nurturing it.
Yeah, it makes me think of a really a teaching actually that came from Andrew that I still really hold. And it's like, I remember sitting in one of his classes years ago, and he was talking about how, you know, you want to get to a place where you're not endlessly trying to move towards something, but you're moving from something. And like, it makes me think of like, you know, the universe, or however you want to like describe this, is responding to your essence. It's like what's the well that you're drawing from? That's like what life is responding to, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like, and actually, like, I just read this thing the other day that was like, if you're lost and you don't know where to go in your life, you don't know where to turn, just turn towards yourself and like really nurture yourself and like really like give to, you know, the well that is you. And then, you know, from that cup overflows, and you can, you know, really move from your essence and from that place. And it's like, that's the co-creation with life. It's like, don't try to, and it's the same, you know, through line message within the yoga practice. You hear it all the time. It's like, yoga is not a thing you do. It's a state of being. It's like, you're not trying to do, like, I feel like when you're constantly trying to be in the pursuit, you're constantly trying to do, you're trying to like achieve and check the boxes. It's like life starts to kind of work against you in that way. But yeah, if you can just like stay close to yourself, I kind of feel like that's the
Yeah,
world.
that is super valuable. And
Mm-hmm.
it reminds me, I'm reading the Celestine Prophecy
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
such a good
And
one.
I'm just at that point right there at the fifth or at the fourth, uh, like prophecy, or at the fourth, what do they call it? I'm forgetting the word. But where um, the third was all about like the energy between people and how people want to control each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then into the fourth, now it's about how you're coming from yourself, from that,
Mm-hmm.
like just that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that that to me is what's pointing towards self mastery, or that's what's pointing towards understanding that, like you said, like what you have inside of you is moving out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And um, we can add these filters of like compassion and empathy and care and love, and see how um, the world responds to that.
Totally.
And yeah,
Just be
it's
you.
yeah.
Yeah. So simple, but we make it so complicated.
Yeah, and I think we can't help it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's overall the cycles and the journey of our
Mm-hmm.
life, right? We're gonna um, uh, reintroduce these lessons
Mm-hmm.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah,
think
you
we're
have to
over,
kind
but
of see like life as like a mirror in the sense where it's like everything that you're I was saying this in class yesterday or the other day, like the quality of your awareness is literally creating your lived experience. It's like how how you're showing up and how like yeah, like how you are perceiving the world is like what will be reflected back to you. You know, if you
yeah,
think that you're a victim or you think that like life is against you or you think like, yeah, like whatever it is you think is like what is going to be projected back to you because that's how it works. So it's like, you know, if you want to change what's happening out there on the outside, then like the first place to begin is with you, you know.
yeah, and that can be one of like the hardest lessons, right? And that's the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing about yoga, because that's what it points to, is that when you show up on your mat in the first stage of it, everything that you're feeling is what you did to yourself. Why
Mm-hmm.
you have the tightness, why you have the soreness, why you're fidgety, why you get aggravated and agitated by what's happening, and even into the beliefs, like why you're uncomfortable with namaste and om and breathing in a particular way. Like all these things start to point and show you just what you did to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then how the practice itself unravels all that
Mm-hmm.
and shows you that when you stick to it and you allow yourself to breathe and chant and be, that suddenly you're not agitated anymore. You
Mm-hmm.
can sit and meditate. You can go into deeper postures. And then it's, you get up from your mat, you go out into the world, and you're like, I'm noticeably a different person. And people see it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Totally. I think they call that. Um, there's a name. There's a word for that. I can't think of what it is. It's like the essence. What is it? Can't remember.
hmm,
Anyway, it'll come to me.
yeah. Well, we hit the hour mark. It
Great.
goes by really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, it's great conversation. And I think kind of to wrap it up. Um, if let's see, so seeing where you've come in your life of your journey of yoga, and like all the different teachers that you've had and the business that you have, and getting to the point of offering retreats. Um, is there, do you feel a call for like a bigger vision, or like do you feel like after you do a retreat like this and you lead it and you land back home, that there's like inspiration that starts to
Oh
bubble
yeah.
up?
Yeah, for sure. This is like a retreat for us in a lot of ways, like just
Yeah.
in terms of like sure, you're like showing up and we're teaching and holding, you know, holding space and um all the little logistics, but there's a lot of also space for my own reflection. And yeah, I feel a lot of inspiration. I mean, I really would love to, Andrew and I have talked about hosting a training down the line. Um, that feels like the big vision.
Yeah.
Would love to get like a group together to really dive into the deeper teachings and have an immersive experience. And I think for both of us, kind of in our own way right now, it's like about like getting back to our own studentship and like filling up that well so that we can, you know, eventually like birth something like that into the world. And yeah, that's kind of what I see for like a bigger vision when it comes to teaching. And then just yeah, like I'll be taking a breathwork training in the spring with one of my teachers, Rihanna. And I was in an immersion with her last year that was centered around what's called the Bolter method, which is somatic work, breath work, kind of like a therapeutic process, which I'm really, really interested in. I'm really into like bringing things back into the body and sort of like this rewiring of like our systems and
Hmm.
our stories about our life and who we are through this language of the body. Yeah, so I'm excited to see where that goes in whatever capacity, and then yeah, just keep going and keep listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, as it's happening.
Yeah, the thing that I find really great to hear is the the desire to remain as a student. You know, because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of teachers can get caught up in the teaching role,
Mm-hmm.
and then to think that like they basically have hit the cap of what they can learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's like a stubbornness that can grow out of that, and a bitterness. But yeah, to hear both you and Andrew to say like, you know what, there's more to learn here.
Mm-hmm.
And so especially to get to a point of offering more in-depth practices, and especially like trainings, right, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
develop something that and that was the one thing that I think kind of saved me in my practice, is I took a step back and I was like, I think I need to learn more,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I need to become a student again, especially to undergo a level of healing where, you know, if I'm going to be stepping back into the role of a teacher, that I can be so much more well informed
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to leading people, especially beginners, right? Like a lot of there's a good portion of my students right now in the studio that, you know, have had a handful of yoga classes, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, and sometimes it's like, you know, like because it's a balance. Like sometimes you don't need another training or you don't need, you know, another course or like we kind of like one of my teachers would call this like intellectual masturbation where you're
yeah,
just like you're so addicted to like stimulating the mind with all of the knowledge and like that's totally like worthy and valid to have. And then there's also like this, you know, because I would often be like, I just need another training, I need to learn more, I need to get more and whatever. And then sometimes it's like I need to practice more, or I need to
yeah,
like, you know, like just be in self study or like be, you know, or just whatever is like the medicine that's gonna like like fill the tank back up, kind of.
Yeah.
And it goes in seasons again. Like it's like everything happens in seasons, and I think it's like coming up to one of like, yeah, like getting back into like practice, and like just, yeah, there's like a craving there, you know. I think you know, I don't want to speak for Andy, but I think that that's kind of relevant for him as well. And just this like, yeah, just diving in and seeing what happens, and then like, yeah, embarking on that journey again, going out and gathering, and then bringing it back and seeing what happens from there.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that how that's showing up for me is going back to India next year.
Mm-hmm.
My teacher built a new ashram in the jungle specifically for advanced like practices, right? And
Mm.
so, yeah, for me it's the same. It's like I don't necessarily want to do a training, but now I know that there's this place that I can go to, and
Mm-hmm.
I can dive in there, and I'll be going at a time where he's there. Um, yeah, so I think at this point, um, yeah, we had a really great conversation.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for making it happen.
Yeah, you're so welcome. This is why I love it, because I get to, explore insights and explore stories and a life that you've lived, and the wisdom that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's gonna be a bunch of people that'll hear this and really enjoy it. And so for the final piece, where can people find you or find your things, or get in contact with you
Yeah.
anyway?
Well, I teach at a couple studios in Kelowna, at Pranify Yoga in Kelowna, and at our yoga space. They're both in the kind of downtown area. I also offer one-on-ones and privates, like private yoga, or these more one-to-one kind of therapeutic sessions. So they can get in touch. Either my Instagram is Kelly Day Yoga, or my website, which is kellydayyoga.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kelly, and thank you everyone for listening. I'll have all the links to her stuff in the description, so please go check her out.
Oh,
And yeah,
sorry. Also, we have a retreat next month in Italy. Andrew, myself.
yeah,
So
that's
if
right.
this goes out before then, and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I will.
any
Yeah.
last minute, anyone who's listening and wants to take an amazing retreat, will be in Tuscany, Italy from October 26th to November 2nd. And all that information is on Andrew's website at
Yeah.
andrewmeasley.com.
Sweet. Yeah. So I'll have all the links for all that stuff. So thanks for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.